What's the most important developments in Pakistan that you think should be of interest to the world?
Well, I think in 2 days, on Monday, we are expecting a verdict of the court about £190 million embezzlement case against former Prime Minister Imran Khan and his wife. This probably is the most lethal case against Mr. Khan. Pretty much is a case that I do not see even High Court or Supreme Court providing him any relief. PTI would stay as a political party, but I don't see any chances for Mr. Khan to survive and lead this party.
In your view, what will be the political consequence for Pakistan and for PTI of this likely verdict?
The real consequence would be that no matter how popular Mr. Khan would be in some circles, he will not be able to contest elections for the period that he is punished.
Don't you think, as some PTI workers believe, do you expect Mr. Trump to come to Khan's rescue?
Only people who have no understanding of US politics and US state interests, their global challenges, can believe this kind of cock and bull story. Well, without wasting any time, let's talk about the new US sanctions on Pakistan's missile program.
It's an unfortunate historical reality that Pakistan has been the most sanctioned ally of the US throughout history. However, it also means that Pakistan is used to such sanctions and has dealt with them, addressed them, and surmounted them.
With a fresh episode of The Weekend, I am Murtaza Solangi.
And I am Muhammad Ali.
Well, without wasting any time, let's talk about the new US sanctions on Pakistan's missile program. A lot has been said in the couple of days. John Feiner, the Deputy National Security Advisor, White House, State Department, all are, talking about it, and so is Pakistan. So tell us what has happened, what are the sanctions, and what is the rationale, and will it impact Pakistan or not?
Thank you, Murtaza. I think it's a very important subject which deserves due attention and a serious, dispassionate analysis. Let me begin by saying that it's an unfortunate historical reality that Pakistan has been the most sanctioned ally of the US throughout history. However, it also means that Pakistan is used to such sanctions and has dealt with them, addressed them, and surmounted them. And at the same time, it has never compromised or yielded in terms of national security interests, particularly the critical nuclear program, which Pakistan views as the most credible guarantee of regional peace and preventing foreign aggression against Pakistan. The recent history that you have witnessed in the last 20 years, you have seen so many countries collapse, Their territorial integrity and sovereignty has been violated. Only last week, Israel captured more than 440 square kilometer territory of Syria. What has happened to Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and so many other countries like Yemen. And these bitter lessons of history have informed Pakistan, particularly after the 1971 war, that Pakistan cannot outsource its national security and survival, and it must develop a minimum credible deterrence in order to ensure its survival, national security, and sovereignty. That's the second aspect. The third aspect is that it is very unfortunate that in the last few weeks of the Biden administration, the US Deputy National Security Advisor chose his talk at the Carnegie Endowment, a very prestigious US think tank, to allege that Pakistan is building missiles which could threaten US, which is factually incorrect on three accounts. Number one, you know very well, we both have lived in the US and worked there, that Pakistan values its relationship with the US enormously. And US is the largest export market of Pakistan. Pakistan has a very vibrant and active diaspora, which contributes in terms of Pakistani foreign remittances. And Pakistan looks towards the US for the goodwill in terms of relief, which it occasionally has sought through IMF and World Bank. And Pakistan has a lasting and enduring military-to-military cooperation, particularly in the context of counterterrorism, and the security concerns are shared vis-a-vis Afghanistan. So basically what I'm saying is there is no incentive for Pakistan to threaten or plan to threaten or develop a capability to attack the US, number one. Secondly, the fact that Pakistan is building missiles are not aimed at the US. They are primarily aimed at ensuring that no Indian aggression in any form or type can be attempted against Pakistan. And that is the sole purpose of Pakistan's credible neutral program and the missile program. The qualitative improvements that Pakistan is bringing into its missile program, including the multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle armed Ababil, and the maneuverable re-entry vehicle of Shaheen 3, is primarily aimed at ensuring that despite the evolution and acquisition of advanced missile defense systems by India like S-400, our deterrence remains credible and our ability to hit any target of choice in the Indian territory remains credible, which is a guarantee for peace in this region. The third aspect is that the Indian development of intercontinental ballistic missiles proves that its targets and threat perceptions are not driven only by China and Pakistan. And the development and evolution of intercontinental ballistic missile proves that India seeks a nuclear capability which aims to deter not just Pakistan and China, but eventually the US itself. So these are the realities which was unfortunate for the US Deputy National Security Advisor to neglect. And I hope that the incoming Trump administration will review these policy mistakes in the greater interest of US credibility as a great power, its commitment towards regional peace and strategic stability in South Asia, and also to ensure that the bilateral relations between Pakistan and the US remain cordial and mutually beneficial.
Ali, let's talk about the rationale explained by John Feiner and others, claiming that since our missiles now have the capability to go beyond 6,000 kilometer range, so that brings them closer to reaching United States. What's the response here in Pakistan?
I think that's a very important question that you've raised. I think not just the development of the intercontinental ballistic missiles by New Delhi, but also the development of ballistic missile nuclear submarines proves that the Indian strategic targeting is not aimed only at China and Pakistan, because the range of these ICBMs goes way beyond Asia. And the two operational ballistic missile nuclear submarines, Arihant and Arigat, which are powered by nuclear reactors, also provide India with the capability to deploy these submarines close to the US shores as well. And if their threat perceptions and national interests change, they could very much target the US mainland as well. And that is a technological reality which is surprising and unfortunate for the US Deputy National Security Advisor to neglect and focus unfairly towards the modest and critical national security compulsion of Pakistan to maintain a credible but minimum deterrence only aimed at thwarting and preventing Indian aggression in any form against Pakistan.
They'll turn around and say that India is not too far from Pakistan, and Pakistan doesn't need 6,000 kilometer range missiles. Why do we have them?
Indeed, because Pakistan does not have any missile which has a range beyond 2,750 kilometers. According to well-known credible sources, the longest range Pakistani existing and operational ballistic missile is Shaheen 3, which has a range of 2,750 kilometers, which proves that the only purpose of Pakistan's missile system is to ensure a credible deterrence against India, which in simple words means that no part of Indian territory, including the Andaman Islands, remain invulnerable from the credibility of Pakistan's missile forces and strategic forces.
So this statement saying that Pakistan has, after getting those missiles, got the capability to reach United States is false.
Absolutely. You know, Pakistan, I must emphasize, has a very modest but necessary strategic program, which only aims to prevent an outbreak of conflict and preserve peace. Pakistan does not have any design. Pakistan does not have resources to engage in a costly arms race with India. Our only objective is to prevent aggression against Pakistan. So we have no incentive to allocate resources and develop systems to attack anywhere outside South Asia. So these misperceptions are unfounded, and it is essential to correct and clarify them. It seems that the Indian lobby and the desire by the outgoing US Deputy National Security Advisor to seek a lucrative job in a think tank once he retires, and the desire to gain Indian goodwill seems to be the real cause behind this ill-informed allegation.
Now let's flip this argument upside down. India's traditional animosity is with Pakistan, that we have gone at least 3 wars against each other, and China. None of these countries is beyond 2,000 kilometers.
Indeed.
It's even less. So I was just reading a little while ago on Agni 6 that's under testing. That has the capability of reaching beyond 11 to even 12,000 kilometers. Why does India need 11 to 12,000 kilometers range missiles when India is our next door neighbor, and so is China. Why do you need them?
That's a very important question, and it has a very simple answer. This is the technical evidence, the physical evidence that its target is not only China and Pakistan, but it is allocating resources and taxpayers' money into developing a capability which aims to not just threaten Pakistan and China, but eventually target the US itself. And that is the ultimate goal, which I must emphasize the US must not overlook or ignore. Because when the US is, over the last 15 years, devoting valuable political capital resources and providing exceptional technological access to India in hurried attempt to build up New Delhi as a counterweight to China, it is neglecting India's own long-term strategic ambition of becoming a great power, a superpower, which wants to become a permanent member of the UN Security Council, and in which it will want to deter not just China and Pakistan, but also the US as well.
Now, my next question is why it doesn't raise red flags in America and Europe, given the history, even the history of United States. The very fact that there was a time when United States, with the help of Pakistan, reached out to Beijing. And they somehow used China during Cold War against former Soviet Union. Now, the roles have reversed. Now, China is their main enemy. Now, even if you look at India-US relations, till 90s, till the collapse of Soviet Union, India had defense treaty with Soviet Union, which was invoked during 1971 war. And as we speak, India still procures a lot of hardware, military hardware from Russian Federation. So in war, it's not the intent, but the capacity that counts. Because intentions can change. Today, you are my friend. Tomorrow, you might be my enemy. That's the lesson of history. How come Europe and America is not looking at this fact?
I think it's a very profound question, Murtaza Saab. And I agree with you that it seems that two factors are can explain this current trend. Number one, it seems that the Western powers, and in particular the US, has neglected the Indian strategic culture and underestimated the value and significance of the ultimate Indian strategic value, which is strategic autonomy. And the last 77 years of Indian history proves that despite close collaboration and access to latest arms technology from both Western and Russian sources, it did not offer any significant operational or military support in any of the major combats on conflicts with either superpowers. Even when it had a treaty with Russia, do you recall India sending troops alongside Soviet troops to fight the Mujahideen in Afghanistan? Do you recall Indian troops fighting on the side of Russia in Korean War or in Vietnam War? Of course not. And similarly,
and even Ukraine war,
even in the Ukraine war, no, it was selling weapons to India, to Russia. It was securing lucrative, cost-effective energy deals with Moscow at a time when the Western world was pressurizing Pakistan and other countries to impose sanctions and trade embargo with Moscow. And now come to the the unipolar moment after 9/11, when New Delhi was embraced warmly by Washington. Even in that war on terror effort, India did not contribute in any manner. Did it send its troops to fight the Taliban, which it is supporting right now alongside ISAF forces? Of course not. It only used this opportunity to acquire latest defense hardware and build up itself in its own right, for its own interest, to emerge as a global power with American and Western support. And I think, and the recent episode in which Indian intelligence officials were directly found involved in trying to assassinate political critics in London, in US, in Canada, in Australia, I think that must be a long overdue wake-up call for the I-5, that they should not overestimate the Indian security commitment against China, and they should also not underestimate Indian desire to maintain its strategic autonomy.
Well, I would like to say a few things before we switch the topic. Despite the fact that China is a strategic ally of Pakistan and has been for decades, the soft power influence of Western Europe and America in Pakistan is much more than any other country would enjoy in Pakistan.
Indeed.
Even today, Pakistani students would prefer going to European and American universities. And the economic dependence of Pakistan and economic relationship with United States, being the largest export destination, it is in our interest not to even think about those perceptions what have been recently shared. We will be out of our mind to think that we will try to acquire technology directly attacking United States or Europe or any other country, except maintaining a minimum credible deterrence for our own national sovereignty. I'll end it there unless you have any final comment before we return to Pakistan.
No, I think it's about time that we learn from you that's what's the most important developments in Pakistan that you think should be of interest to the world.
Well, I think in 2 days, on Monday, we are expecting a verdict of the court about £190 million embezzlement case against former Prime Minister Imran Khan and his wife. As I have scanned through this case that has prolonged for almost a year, with too many adjournments and too many opportunities provided to Mr. Khan and his wife to prove their innocence, we are on the verge of hearing a verdict that I think would be very bad for Mr. Khan and his wife, because if you talk to any legal expert, the preponderance of the evidence in that case suggests that maybe 10 to 15 years of sentence for Mr. Khan and few years for his wife. I may be wrong, but these are the speculations in the legal community. This probably is the most lethal case against Mr. Khan. Forget any other case. This is even more dangerous for Mr. Khan than May 9 case, because while he tries to pontificate and build himself around the globe as a clean person, the very fact that he has been caught with both his hands in the jar would clearly demonstrate that he has been involved in corruption, corrupt practices, and abuse of power. So that pretty much is a case that I do not see even High Court or Supreme Court providing him any relief. PTI would stay as a political party, but I don't see any chances for Mr. Khan to survive and lead this party.
Okay, let me ask you two aspects of this very important news that you broke and shared with our viewers. Let's first focus on the legal aspect, and then I'll ask you the political aspect. As a devil's advocate, do you think the evidence against former Prime Minister Imran Khan is credible, tangible, convincing enough for the court and his lawyers' team's ability to seek either indemnity or immunity or relief is likely to fail?
Yes, because the facts speak for themselves. The case started actually to Mr. Khan's bad luck. It was under Mr. Khan's government when they approached the National Crime Agency of UK, and they thought this would be a feather in their cap, because they found out that the son of Mr. Nawaz Sharif, Hassan Nawaz, had bought some property from in UK, and then he sold it to a private Pakistan's property tycoon. So Mr. Khan government thought that they would end up proving Mr. Hassan Nawaz involved in corrupt practices and money laundering. Turned out that National Crime Agency acquitted and gave a clean chit to Mr. Hassan Nawaz, and instead punished the property tycoon and decided that 190 million pounds belong to the state of Pakistan. Now, that's where this story begins. What Mr. Khan and his close confidant, Mirza Shahzad Akbar, did was they came up with a confidential agreement with National Crime Agency and said, okay, we will repatriate this money, and instead of giving that money to state of Pakistan, the property tycoon owed some money as decided by the Supreme Court. So instead of transferring that money to state of Pakistan, Mr. Khan, without even approval of the federal cabinet first executed that agreement without the knowledge of the cabinet. And then he brought a sealed envelope in the cabinet and see, we have a confidential document that you can't see, so you just have to approve it. The statements of the federal cabinet ministers are on record saying that.
But let me interrupt you to ask a supplementary question. Since the cabinet approved it, do you think the responsibility of approving this controversial deal lies solely with the Prime Minister or the entire cabinet?
It squarely and solely belongs to Mr. Khan, because the cabinet did not even see that agreement. Had the cabinet seen it, discussed it, approved it, then the entire cabinet would be responsible. But the way it was done clearly demonstrates that Mr. Khan also deprived the federal cabinet, his hand-picked cabinet, because cabinet serves at the pleasure of the Prime Minister. Not only that, he adjusted that amount in the Supreme Court account where that property tycoon had to pay the money. In return, he got hundreds of canals of land transferred from the same tycoon in the name of a trust whose main beneficiaries were only Mr. Khan and his wife. So there is a clear case of abuse, embezzlement, and cheating the federal cabinet and violating the rules. So I see no way Mr. Khan can get out of this.
Now, let me come to the and more interesting aspect of this case. In your view, what will be the political consequence for Pakistan and for PTI of this likely verdict?
Well, the real consequence would be that no matter how popular Mr. Khan would be in some circles, he will not be able to contest elections for the period that he is punished. So that ends his political career. He's 72 years old. Even if he gets 10 years of sentence, then it's pretty much over. And who knows what happens in 10 years. That is the legal consequence. Another political consequence of this verdict is that he can cheat and he can, make the people of Pakistan believe that this is political victimization. But the facts will speak for themselves. I can assure you that people in the West, in Europe and America, who don't know the facts, when they read the verdict, they would have a hard time supporting Mr. Khan and his so-called squeaky clean record.
But my last question is a short one. What's your view? Don't you think, as some PTI workers believe, do you expect Mr. Trump to come to Khan's rescue?
Only people who have no understanding of US politics and US state interests, their global challenges, can believe this kind of cock and bull story, because Mr. Trump has too much on his plate. China, Ukraine, European security, and US politics. So I don't think it's possible that just for the lip service, he may, or some of his cabinet members may, give a statement or two, but those statements would have no teeth. They would have no biting effect. That would be simply a lip service. The policy towards Pakistan will be greatly determined by US, keeping their global interests into consideration. China, Ukraine, Russia, Middle East, they will decide how they should respond to Pakistan. Mr. Khan would be the last of their concerns.
I think that's a very interesting thought to conclude our program today. Thank you for joining us, Murtaza Saab. Viewers, this was this week's The Weekend, and we hope you enjoyed this show. Do keep watching this space, and don't forget to give your comments and suggestions in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.